Hello everyone, I'm back. It's another day, and I'm gonna talk about the second episode of NamNam's PvP Aircraft Guide. And this is by far the most damaging thing that he made. This is due to motor to mouse control. We'll go over it. Let's just press this button. It says motor to mouse control. There are three types of control schemes. Yes. Full keyboard, right? Glitch mouse and motor to mouse. Motor to mouse, don't use it. Don't use it. It's bad. There's no reason to use it. Same with glitched mouse if you're dogfighting. Because if you use glitched mouse, you're also gonna use W and S for your pitch, because otherwise you're just not gonna hit anything, right? There's something called B and Z, and B and Z is like boom and zoom, which is essentially just flying around and shooting things. And that is what a lot of YouTubers do. It's what you see in montages like GJ's montage and NamNam's montage, where they're not dogfighting people, they're just kind of flying around and shooting people in pubs. With Nam, it's a little better because Nam shoots people in his private servers, so he can shoot people in jets, but they do tend to be moving relatively slow. And a full keyboard setup will give you a lot better control of your aircraft when you're in a dogfight. And motor to mouse has a lot of disadvantages that make it really hard to maneuver your plane and really hard to control it when you're in a dogfight, when you're trying to fly your plane on its limits, because the second you use motor to mouse, you're automatically limiting what your plane can do. And that is just why overall you shouldn't use it. He continues to fly around. He uses motor to mouse himself. You see how his plane moves? So motor to mouse, it uses yaw when you try and turn. So you can point the nose. So that's why it's very good for B and Z. It honestly might be better than glitched mouse. Because it's almost like glitched mouse, except for you can just point your nose where it wants. Pros and cons. This is the funniest list I've seen, right? Difficult to tune, depends on low lag, no super maneuverability, incompatible with conveyors. That's all a true story, right? Pros: precise control only when you're B and Z, right? Which is easier to aim, right? That's one thing. It's easier to aim, but not in a dogfight because you're limiting your plane. Faster reaction, that's not true. You can move your mouse around, or you could press W and S and A and D. It's just something to get used to. It doesn't affect your reaction time, other than like, oh, I'm gonna point my mouse here so my plane always flies straight while idle. Glitched mouse and WASD do this also, because you'll always have mouse control a little bit with WASD. So I guess you can just center your mouse and you'll fly straight. And then with glitched mouse, it's the same thing, just center your mouse so you fly straight. I don't really see how that's a big advantage. The only thing is about this is, if you want to just simply shoot people in public matches and be bad at dogfighting and have difficulty with that, the best thing to do, and this is the best thing for flying around and shooting people while you're going fast and they're going slow and not moving much, because you can aim well with this. But it's not going to be good for dogfighting, because you're not going to be able to put your plane in a position where it's able to defend itself. You're basically just going to be pointing your nose at someone, and you're going to get hit and they're going to dodge you. This just won't go well for you overall. He goes over on how to build it. Surfaces to prevent the rudder from welding to other parts. You can make the mouse input toggleable. Hover engines. He goes over hover engines. This is how you make a hover engine. Yes, the most basic of things, right? 15.0. You can make hover engines with different settings, but that is advanced and complicated. He puts a motor. There's 3. It works because the motor peg is not welded to the hover thruster. It pushes, stuff like that. 7 is the minimum. Okay. So what I do, this is the most efficient way to make a hover engine, and this is what I usually put in my planes. Is I'll have the platform where I'm gonna, put my hover engine, and I'll start by, making a motor lock tower, right? And yeah, motor lock, it can be complicating, but whatever. So I can go like that, right? So then we're gonna go to hover engines, which is over here, right? We're at 15, 0. We're gonna point it like this: 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I do tend to go with 6. It's just what I've seen works well. 7 also works well, but I use 6. It's just what I do. And then I will go up here, and I will take a motor, and I put that on lock, and I just put that there, and then I can go to hover thrusters again. Speed 15, drag 0. Right, we're at 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't place blocks. Rest in peace, 5, 6. And then we're going to take our motor, because motors work. The motors cannot be locking, otherwise it breaks. Motors. We're just gonna place a motor right there, and then we're gonna find something to weld the hovers on the top so they don't fly away. We're gonna use trails. Trails tend to be my weapon of choice. Some people use signs, other people use cameras. It's all good. I have used all of them. They all work fine. Pick your poison. And the best thing about this is how efficient it is, right? You're not locking hovers inside of each other. They're just locking down, right? And because of this, you can fit 12 hovers in a 6-block space without locking them inside of each other. Meaning that this is the least lagging, and since it's not lagging a lot, that also makes it more powerful and less likely to make your plane wobble if you have a lot of these in it, right? Because having just 6 of these versus having 12 locked into each other is crazy. I mean, it's gonna be laggy because that's a lot of hovers, but having as many things not locking into each other as possible is extremely important. This is the most efficient way to make a hover engine. And I believe how Nam makes his, he doesn't lock them inside of each other, he just doesn't include a lot of them. He goes over how 8 hovers is just too much, it's weaker. Hovers can push off one surface at a time, so multiple motors will not increase the speed. That's a true statement. If you're going to stack hover engines, only one motor is needed. Does he explain it? Both engines are powered. Oh, he's explaining that, yeah. And then he just is going to slide them into his aircraft. I would say don't put them in the intakes of your aircraft, because if they're not centered and they're not in the right place, it'll affect how your plane is gonna fly, and once again it will hurt maneuverability. It's just something you want to be generally centered and in a good place, so that way your plane can fly well. Roll control. You may have noticed there is no way we control the aircraft with mouse button 2. Alright, so he still has to use his keyboard with roll. he just has to. Because of how his mouse settings are. So he has to use his keyboard for roll, which already is not helping, right? So what does he explain to us for roll control? What the Okay, so don't do that for roll. For roll, you're gonna have it on your wings over here, right? You're gonna have control surfaces, and I can demonstrate that with my plane that I use and probably performs extremely well for what it is, right? So if you look, this controls my roll, which is A and D. So these control surfaces in there make it work surprisingly well. So if I want to fly, right, pitch is these elevators, right, W, S, W, S, right, roll, A, D, W, right, W, and then I also have variable pitch because I have canards, so I can press R and F, or I could press everything at the same time to get a tighter turn circle, and that's a tool that you can use. And overall, that's just how I fly my jet. But yeah, don't do this. Don't make your roll in your elevators. Make your pitch in your elevators. Don't do that. Just please don't. That doesn't add drag compared to putting control surfaces in the wing. He says that. And while I understand what he's saying, drag isn't bad because it's a lot easier to make your plane go faster than make your plane fly balanced and like tighter. So having control surfaces in your wing is going to help your plane fly tighter, and it's going to help your plane be more balanced and less susceptible to wobbling, because it adds that dampening and it adds that wing panels, right? While I see what he's saying, just don't do this. You know, it honestly probably causes problems because you can't roll and pitch at the same time. Yeah, see, he has to, yeah, he can't do them both at the same time. At least I don't think he can. In that case, you can always do a 2 to 3 keybind control for surfaces, and the wingtip should suffice. Do this. Use the control surfaces in your wings. It's just better. Post-stall maneuvers. That's useless. Don't do it. Don't do post-stall maneuvers. Don't get slow. If you're dogfighting someone, keep up your speed and be sustained. And if you can't control your jets at high speed, go practice before you dogfight people, or just go dogfight. Make your elevators and make your elevators speeds less, and make your elevators in general less, right? Your turn radius does not matter, right? You're sure, like, you shouldn't be ridiculously wide, but you should be able to control it. And once you're able to control it, you can pick a speed of the elevator that you like, right? If we look at my plane, right, and we look at the pitch, which basically controls how you're going to move your plane, right? My speed is only 3, and the max angle is 22. It's not a lot, right? You don't see my plane snapping around like my flankers used to, and that's because it's a lot easier to control at high speeds, right? I can tap it. I can control where I want the nose, and if I want to turn, I can. And the turn radius isn't small. I can point my nose where it wants to. I have the variable pitch if I want to turn tighter. And overall, the plane flies smooth, and it's easier to fly, and it's easier to control, right? You don't want a super tight turn radius, and you definitely don't want to be doing post-stall maneuvers and relying on that. They can be funny, and they can be a fun thing to do, but it's not a good thing to live by. Now, he's gonna probably talk about putting I'm guessing he's gonna talk about putting propellers in the nose. So the thing about this, that's not a true post-stall maneuver. True post-stall maneuvers are usually done with post-stall maneuvers are done with drift jets, which make it so, like, at a certain speed you can hit your keybinds, and without using propellers, without using things that are pushing your nose up, but just using the airframe of your aircraft. Since your jet is heavy and it's drifty and it pulls a lot of AOA, you're actually able to do post-stall maneuvers and really cool things. Having propellers in your nose is just pressing a button and moving it. It's not a post-stall maneuver. It's not cool. It's just efficient if both people agree that they're going to have propellers in their nose. And honestly, from now on, I'm going to start banning that when I dogfight people, because it's boring and it makes it just kind of dumb, If you want to make your plane snappy, rely on making a good airframe, and don't put propellers in your nose because it's boring. And if that makes you mad, I don't care. It's not my job to care. Is that all? Post-stall maneuver, he talks about that. What else? He's gonna put, that in the back of the plane. Ending afterthoughts. So a functional flying aircraft. That's true. And his aircraft, it looks like it flies well. But overall, it's not good for dogfighting. This is good for YouTubers who want to make montages and fly around and shoot people with their plane. And even then, there's some flaws, like rolling with the elevators. It's just going to overall make your aircraft way more limited and harder to control and flawed. Don't be afraid to put control surfaces in the wings over here. It's not going to hurt your aircraft too much. I'd say no matter what, cover it up with trapdoors or disconnectors, whatever you want. Disconnectors look smoother. And if you make your plane right, you don't have to make the whole thing ice, which means that disconnectors will still look good. They already look smoother than trapdoors. The only reason to use a trapdoor is because you can change the material and you can make your plane lighter. It might fly decent now. Look, it's wobbling. It wobbles at high speeds. But you can take it a step further. Next, tune the aircraft and fix wobbles. Okay, consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it. You'll get notified the next episode. Yes, NamNam is still a good YouTuber. Don't send hate to him. Still support him. Don't send hate to me. Don't hate anyone. I'm just saying that this video, this specific one about maneuverability, is damaging to you and how you make your plane, and it's wrong. It's just bad. Don't use motor to mouse control. Don't put your roll in your elevators. Just don't do a lot of the things in this video, and you'll be fine. Anyway, have a great day, and yeah, just take it easy. Tell your mom I love her.